Hello, welcome to the Pint podcast, where our powers pish, but our pints aren't. To introduce ourselves, I'm Caden, and I'm joined by my co-host Dino.
Hi, hello. It is time. It is time for episode 14, and as per episode, I have my tin ready. There we go.
Oof, people would have missed that. It's been had a week hiatus. Nobody would have heard that last week, so do apologise for that. I particularly forgot to mention that we are changing our schedule to bi-weekly podcasts.
We are indeed.
However, we have exceptions to this rule whenever there's like a special. So we'll also be doing one next week for Halloween. But after that,
Ooh.
it'll be back to the bi-weekly schedule.
Yeah.
But with your tinny opened and me apologised, I suppose we can get our main topic.
Yep. So, the main topic is powers that we wish we could have. Would you like to start, or will I start?
Sure, I could start, yeah.
There you go.
Throughout our lives, we've always wondered what powers we want, or obviously the obvious ones from growing up. It's like, oh, I want super strength, or I want to be able to fly, or something like that, or telekinesis and whatnot. But I think a lot of us wanted those sort of powers when we were younger. But as I grew older, I just wanted these cool, more distinct powers. So my first example would be ice powers. So the ability to control ice and temperature to go to that sort of temperature. So I've seen it a lot in shows and stuff I've read, where they can make things like sub-zero temperature around them sub-zero, so things become ice, or they actually can make ice come from them or from surroundings themselves. And I just thought it was always a cool power to have, and just it'd be useful in day to day. It's like, oh shit, my drink's fucking warm. Here's a bit of ice cubes coming from my hand or something into the drink, and I'm just like, oh. And whenever I see it represented in media, it's just so cool because you've got to be careful with the sort of ice powers as well. I see a lot of it happen where somebody gets encapsulated in ice to trap them, but I'm like, if they don't get out of there, they're gonna die from frostbite, dude. They're not gonna be able to breathe. And it's just a very simple power to have. Much like a lot of people I know would have fire powers. They want fire powers. I just want ice powers.
Yeah, specifically ice.
You see water bending in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you can see them turn the water into ice as well. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I want that. I want to be able to do that.
Be like your man, Mr. Freeze.
Maybe. He doesn't really have ice powers though, does he?
Nah.
He has the ice gun. Killer Frost would be one, wouldn't she? Actually, she hasn't been in the Suicide Squad live action film.
No.
There's quite a few ice power users.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Freeze is unfortunate when it comes to that end because he makes his ice powers through guns, but
yeah,
if he's not under sub-zero temperature, he will die. So he's got the short end of that stick.
He really does.
How about one from yourself?
So the first one I have is instant teleportation. So just if I want to be somewhere else, just instantly think of the place and I'm there, right? Like a snap of a finger type thing. And yeah, I mentioned in a previous episode, obviously the laziest traits, right? So and mine was walking. So this would certainly solve that if I could just instantly teleport somewhere. So even for mundane things, do you know what I mean? I could be sat upstairs in a PlayStation or something, and I'm like, fancy something to eat. Just teleport into the fucking kitchen, make myself some scran, and then teleport back up. Yeah, I just reckon that'd be really useful as well as really cool because you can use it in many ways. You could, depends on like the limitations of it, I guess. But in this scenario, it's just what we'd want. So I wouldn't really have much limitations on it.
Mm.
So you could go on holiday for like maybe a couple hours if you wanted.
Yeah.
Just teleport to like Hawaii, sit in a sit on a beach,
It sounds like you should
and then
watch the
teleport
movie
back.
Looper.
Looper. I don't think I've seen Looper.
Because it's got a lot of that sort of stuff in it.
Ah,
It's not Looper. Is it Looper?
I am not sure.
I think Looper's a completely different film, actually. Right, no, that's a movie about time travel with Bruce
Oh,
Willis. What's the one I'm thinking of? Jumper. Jumper is J.
mm,
No, J for Jumper. Aye, it's Jumper.
right.
I got the ers mixed up. Jumper. But your man Samuel L. Jackson's in it and Hayden
Oh
Christensen.
yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, it's just I think it'd be really useful
Oh well.
as a lazy man like myself would certainly enjoy. Imagine it though. It's just you're instead of like waiting a while, get ready to go to the pub or that. As soon as they get there, you're just like, oh, boom, I'm there too.
So it's like you see like a lot of teleporters and like shows and that. Like one of the ones I think of is like Nightcrawler, where his like signature teleport
Mm.
has like the sound effect bamf, and it's just really cool. Teleporting is really cool. I really like teleporters who can like they leave like a smoke or like a particle effect behind them when they teleport rather than just disappear.
Mm.
Like everyone I know that teleports is like Goku from Dragon Ball. He has like this thing called instant transmission, and he just needs to think of a place that he just teleports there.
Yeah,
Actually, can't mind what everyone's like. There's a lot of like it's just a
that'd
really
be
cool
very cool.
power.
What's your next one?
Mine's sort of similar, but I like to think of it in like combat stuff as well. It'd be really useful is the power of portals. So
Oh
like
yeah.
just like being like your man with the sling ring from MCU, just creating portals, but I can just like make a portal anyway. I don't know whether I'd put limitations on that or not, but just having the powers of portals, so basically making like a window in space that will go somewhere else, depending whether that window in space goes to like a pocket dimension, like I've seen in stuff, or a portal that just goes to another location. And I
Mm.
think that's really useful. Much same practical ability that like teleportation has, but there's an added combat like effect to it as well, where somebody goes for a punch for you. All you have to do is make a wee portal in front of you. Their hand goes through it. You close it, and it just cuts their arm off.
No cheese. Good lord.
It's good for like combat and shit. Like if somebody goes
Yeah, we
for you,
definitely yeah.
just create a portal below them. They go through it, make a portal up like a few like feet high, or not a few feet high, but like a few dozen feet high, and they drop from it and they land and they hit themselves and they get hurt. So it's not like gonna cut their arm off, but it'll still hurt them. So it's got like a lot of like combat uh
Mm-hmm.
potential.
We definitely seen that with Doctor Strange, but
Oh, I.
there's almost a different version of it with the portal gun, obviously.
Oh, yeah, with the sentries.
Um, yeah, I mean, with the portal gun, it's obviously limited because you have to be able to see
And it has to be
where
of
you're putting it.
like the stuff, the white stuff. It has to be that stuff.
Aye,
So it can't just be
has to
like
be
on
on
a random
those.
wall, and it has to be like completely flat. There's a lot of limitations on the portal gun. Very, very good though. Um, I like as you're
Still
saying,
have fun with that.
Doctor Strange was it cut off obsidian blacks? Is it obsidian black? Or just obsidian. But the big guy with the big
Aye.
hammer thing cuts his arm off. I remember there was a theory cutting about it's like when did Doctor Strange do that with Thanos' head or the gauntlet? I'm like, well, it just depends because Thanos is really, really, really durable. So he might just be more durable than the portal's closing. He could just maybe forcibly open it.
Mm.
Who knows? But I think portals are really sick and shit. Trying to think of the other like Portal. Obviously, the game Portal is like one of the biggest examples, but it's like more technology. Hunter x Hunter has a guy where his portals he has to touch like a floor or some sort of wall or something, and he puts like a seal
Mm.
there basically, and nobody will ever be able to tell it's there. It's just there, and that will open a portal into like his wee pocket dimension that he can store stuff and shit, and that would also be really useful. Having a wee pocket dimension to store stuff that nobody else can get to.
Yeah,
That's my second one.
pretty decent. Um, my second one is time travel. Actually, it's certainly a popular one, I would
Mhm.
say, and it's one of those things that I love seeing it in TV shows, in films, in games, even just using it towards storyline. It fascinates me. Um,
Mhm.
so to be able to do it yourself, um, which yeah, I think it would be absolutely sick. Because you could do it for sort of small, nice reasons, for
Yeah,
example.
like for a
Um,
loved one that's dead.
yeah, you could do stuff like that. Um, if there was something you missed, uh, like an event, you could just time travel and go see that. You know,
Aye.
like a gig.
Like
I would
Pompeii.
totally go time travel and take a time travel Pompeii.
No, that'd be horrible. It would be like amazing to look at, like from like it's very morbid to think about like seeing that happen. Like you could
Hmm.
prevent it, true, but like if time travel is gonna work the way you want it, it's only gonna like save like one multiverse that you went to essentially, or a different
Yeah,
timeline.
it's a
Unless you
thing.
want your time powers to actually like affect your timeline as well, which isn't ideal.
Uh, gets quite complex when you add in the multiverse.
Yeah. So like,
Um,
what's like some shows and that have time travel power users and they just fuck up their timeline?
oh, um, well, Back to the Future is probably
Oh, it's probably
the
like
first one.
probably the most popular one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They obviously went back, tried to do
To
some
the
stuff, blah
future.
blah blah. And then when they went back to their own time, it was not how they left it. So they were trying to they're trying to refix that. So yeah, it does get kind of
Yeah, messy.
messy, but in the scenario where it's nice, it's
I
nice,
suppose
tidy.
in Back to the Future, they mess with time, but they don't really have time powers.
Mm.
Or does he? I don't know. Does Doc have like the ability to go fucking? I don't know. Fucking. I've come to bargain, Dormammu. I
No.
don't know. Doc Brown, man. I haven't seen those songs. Um, I know one specifically. Oh, actually, I just mentioning that quote. Well, Doctor Strange using the Time Stone. Would that
Yep.
count as being a power or using like a tool? Much like the Sling Ring is
Um.
a portal power, but he manifests it.
Yeah.
Because the
I
whole point of
think.
the Infinity Stones is they give you the power.
Yeah, I think he could, but a lot of it's down to he doesn't want to like the break the dimensions by doing too much. So.
I think that's what there's a reason why they never want to use a Time Stone. Is the reason why they're like, we don't want you touching the Time Stone, Strange. And Strange
Mhm.
is like, nah, 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 you gotta trust me. It's me. It's me, Steven. I think one where it's actually a power is you would have heard of it, but yeah, I don't think you've seen or read anything on it. Is the Flashpoint paradox.
Oh right.
So that whole segment of story is to do with the Flash having time travel powers because a bit like how Superman back in the day, like back in the show or movie, spun around the planet so fast it went back in time. Whereas this in this case, Flash goes back in time via running so fast or something like that. And he basically prevents his mom from dying, and it just completely fucks up the timeline.
Mm.
Absolutely decimates it. Like Bruce Wayne's killed instead. The Joker's now Bruce Wayne's ma. There's a war between Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Alas, time travel's definitely one of those ones.
I've thought about a lot of theories as well. Like the
Oh,
Beatles and
good
stuff.
God. Oh, that just reminds me. I mind I was browsing YouTube and I found like this. It was titled like Beatles: The Lost Album or something like that. And I was listening to it, and essentially all the songs in it was just a mix of like all of their solo work after the Beatles, just sort of like morphed into these songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I started watching this video on it. Just one of those like rabbit holes that you get into on YouTube. Started watching this video and he started explaining it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this and that," and then out of nowhere, the guy's like, "Oh yeah, it's from another dimension where the Beatles never broke up," and I'm just like, "What? Hold on, excuse me."
Oh, fuck off.
As stupid as it is, it kind of interested me. I was like,
It does.
imagine, just imagine. Pun intended. Anyway, what's
Uh, well,
what's your next?
my third one, as you're asking, is just shadow powers. So
Okay.
I don't know of any people in particular that have them, but I always like to imagine like the ability to like control your shadow. So it can come out as like a black like strand that's actually physical, and you can like move it about, and it can like stab for. It's very specific. I've seen it in stuff, but it's very specific. I like the idea of a shadow ability. If there's any shadow, you can like jump into it and you can go into it, and you can come out of another shadow and shit like that. Just seeing this like black entity that you're able to move, manipulate, and do stuff. I've seen it in shows where a character will manipulate their shadow, and if they can connect it to another person's, it will paralyze them.
Okay.
It's like very specific. There's a game in Japan that was brought to a very surreal light in a show, where he plays a child's game, and it's dangerous. So the premise of the child's game is you have to jump in somebody's shadow, but he's manipulated this child's game into like a weird power where if he stabs your shadow, you get stabbed, sort of stuff. And I just always find it like unique to have these sort of like shadow powers, and I just like the idea of it. It's like it could really be like a real thing, but
Yeah.
there's like lots of examples of people having these powers, but there's no like real like entity. Like you want fire powers, you have fire powers. You want shadow powers, what does that mean? Do you want a
Yeah.
shadow like Peter Pan? Like his power is just like it's not even a power. He just has like a sentient shadow that he has to have
Mm.
stitched back onto him. But I just like this idea. I would like to have like the sort of like power set where like I can go into shadows, coming out of shadows, go into my own shadow. I can manipulate my shadow to become physical.
Mm.
I can like
Shadow
entangle
Realm.
people. Shadow Realm from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, I'll send them there. But I just like it's just also just cool to look at. It's just a complete black thing that you can manipulate, sort of like
Yeah.
darkness powers, but not to that extent.
Mm.
But
It's definitely interesting.
aye.
I wonder like how far you could go in terms of like a writing standpoint to develop something like that.
But that's definitely the thing. Like the character I was telling you about that like uses his shadow to paralyze others. He
Mm-hmm.
could instead of paralyzing them, he could also like stretch his shadow onto them and create like
Oh,
hands and like they like start strangling them, basically. So it's like it's almost like his shadow is acting as him as well without being too close. And I think it's a really cool power because it means it's like a long ranged version of you. Like you don't get hurt if it gets hurt. Basically, it's really cool concept. That's my third one.
Well, my third one, I've got super learning. So just the ability to pick stuff up super quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I think Superman can do that.
Yes.
I think there's the bit where he like flicks through a book extremely fast, and he's like, "Cool."
That's one of the fucking few issues of Superman I've read. New 52, like he goes to the moon and he's like, Superman, you don't know like engineering of moon technology. He's like, I'll be back. I'm going to the library. And he goes to the library and he's got his glasses on or something and he just reads for the book and he comes back. It's like, okay, I know how to fix this. And they're like, what? Excuse me? But I think
Oh man,
that's also like provided with the fact that he goes super fast as well in general.
yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
sort of like Flash levels of speed. But his mind just processes
There's a
things.
bit of a combination there, but yeah, just that idea of super learning because there's been quite a few times where I've had the ambition to like start something and to learn something, right? But it'll it'll either be like quite difficult and it'll take time to do it, or it's just complex and all this stuff. So just being able to do that and then not give up, just being able to pick something up and just go, all right, cool.
Basically like a
Um,
doctor. He does that a lot, doesn't he?
yeah, I think so. Um, it's definitely a really useful one. You can take that into um, most situations, I think. Like if you want to find out quickly how to do something in that scenario, you can just search it up and there you go. Doesn't take long for your head to wrap around it.
How to fix your car in 2 minutes. To do anything.
um, oh yeah.
I suppose Batman sort of comes under that. He has really good learning, but not like super
Mm.
learning. Like, trying to think of other characters. Like, I guess most like angels, which are natural, and demons. I don't know about demons, but maybe angels could.
Mm.
I don't know their like subset powers. It's definitely like a good thing. It's like it could even just be like you don't have to open it and read it. Like you just touch a book and you gain that information from it. Even that'd be cool.
Mm. That would be. It's the absorption. Yeah, I would totally use it for the guitar. I would totally use it for the guitar. Just be like playing Van Halen and stuff,
Super
repping my
learning.
mans.
So are you insinuating that super learning can also like affect muscle memory then,
Yes,
and
I
even the
guess. I mean, it
capability
just
of your
depends on
fingers?
limitations that you want to put on it.
I suppose. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
You could have super learning and just forget everything that you just learned anyway. So
Oh my god.
I
Oh
have
my
super
god.
learning, but it doesn't mean I can remember it.
Hold on, what was that again? You just run it again.
That'd be a
Yeah.
really.
Have you got one more?
I do. Um, my last one is gravity powers, which is just really cool. I've seen it in a lot of stuff, and I just think the idea of just I don't know how you initiate or activate it, but like maybe your hand's
Hmm.
covered in this like glow, and you just point it at something and go, "You're gonna weigh like 100 times your gravity," and then just burst into the ground, super weighted and stuff. Or you can make yourself
Lord.
super light, so you can jump over buildings and stuff and not take any damage from falling. Or like make your punch so strong, the mass of your arm, the gravity that you're able to control, hit somebody, it would just knock them super far back, sort of stuff like that. I just
Yeah.
It's rather simple now that I think about it, just like controlling gravity. It's like I want you super heavy. You feel the gravity 5 times out of Earth, which would make you very heavy. Or you can make it like as light
Hmm.
as the moon's gravity. and I've seen it in quite a few things. Like, there's a guy who has a sword. That's ability. The sword doesn't have the ability, but he manifests his ability through the sword, in which anything he cuts with his sword will double in weight. So I don't know if that's particularly gravity, but it's definitely like in that sort of like
Aye.
realm of what I would want to be able to do. Like maybe touch a person would be the limitations. I have to touch them to make them like have the gravity 5 times that or 5 times lighter. I think the space stone from the Infinity Stone, Space Stone. I don't know if that is gravity or
Um,
not. Maybe the reality. No, I can't mind. But you know, like he could just like grab
aye,
like
aye.
the big moon above Titan. Is it Titan? And just launch
I
it
think so, yeah.
at like uh Iron Man. 'Cause it was a red glow, wasn't it? So would it have been a reality stone?
Um,
I can't
possibly,
mind.
possibly. But
I
yeah, you could definitely use it to like manipulate a lot of stuff.
You could, because another character I see use it is like he just like sort of like brings out his sword, points his sword at the ground, and everybody's like, "What are you doing? What have you done?" And he's like, "Well, you know I have gravity powers, right? Well, look above you." They all look up, and there's this fucking meteor coming down to Earth that he's manipulated from space, and you're like, "What? What? What do you mean? How are you gonna deal with that?" But gravity powers is really good. It's just OP as well in terms of just physical abilities. Like any given
Oh,
person, no
load.
matter how strong they are, you can just be like, okay, your gravity is the strongest gravity ever, sort of stuff. Like there would have to
See
be
you
sort of
later,
just
mate.
like just crush them, basically.
Hmm.
But that's my last one. The gravity powers would be sick to have.
That's your last.
Yeah. How about your last one?
So my last is precognition. So
Oh,
essentially, like that's a raven type shit.
yeah.
Um, but it wouldn't be the same way that it's used in That's a Raven, because obviously in that show, she can't control it. She has absolutely no control, and she doesn't know whether
It's random. But
it's yeah.
she doesn't know the
It could be
context.
something that doesn't happen or something that does happen, because obviously once you see this, you're trying to stop it from happening in some situations.
Uh,
But yeah, I was reading up about this a bit, and I seen there's someone from JoJo that has this as well.
oh, King
But
Crimson.
just I think I have no idea.
Yeah,
You'd,
yeah.
you'd have to tell me.
Yeah. So it's weird because the guy's ability, his power is called King Crimson, but he has a side ability on his forehead. Like the forehead of his stand has a wee other face called Epitaph,
Yeah, that's the one.
and it just has the ability to tell what will happen in like the next 10 seconds or so. Where else King Crimson has the ability to erase those 10 seconds. It's very complicated,
Hmm.
but yeah, precognition is. Oh, I almost had that on my list until
Oof.
I had a look at your list. And I was like, oh,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
see you out here.
Um, it's it's something that I think would be really interesting to use, and it does depend on like the limitations. Is it something that you can turn on whenever you're wanting to? You know, can you um, can you like manipulate the future based off of that, whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how far can you see? Because in if you were to use it in a scenario like um, Doctor Strange in it wasn't Endgame,
It was
was it? It
Infinity
was the
War.
one before
It
Infinity
was the
War.
14 million possibilities, wasn't it?
Yes, that. If you could use it in a way like that, where you can see like quite far, as far as you're wanting to, into the future to like pan out a certain path, right? So then you can be like, okay, do I want to do this then, and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't work in that scenario, then you could try something different.
Like,
But yeah, I feel like that would be super useful.
yeah, so like precognition is just like the actual like form of prediction, but it will happen if you see it essentially. So like, it's
Hmm.
like the ultimate form of prediction, but it's just like you will see it. Um. There's actually no, there isn't. No, that isn't that. But I've seen some characters use that. Like they can like see 6 seconds into the future, and it gives them enough time to like see somebody throw a punch, and they're like, boom.
Yeah. I mind I seen a film one time, and I can't remember the name of it, but I was just downstairs one time. I'm just watching the TV and it was on. I think the whole concept of it was um, this guy had this type of like precognition, and that was the basis of the whole thing. He was trying to like stop a certain thing from happening, and he was like going through tons of like fights and whatnot to try and. It could have been, I can't quite mind if it was like something military wise or just trying to stop a bomb or whatever. But he was using it in really small bursts as well. So in certain fights, he would be like, "Okay, can I throw this punch?" Blah blah blah. But it was also used in like the large scale as well, which made for a really interesting film. But I can't even remember the name of it, which is annoying.
Oh, uh, I just remembered a character who fucking has precognition, like in One Piece. So like, the characters
Okay.
have this ability to like observe things. So they have like enhanced prediction abilities. They can like sense the intent of people, what they're gonna do. So like they can sense if they're gonna throw a punch or not. They can't see it, but they can
Yeah.
sense it. But
Yeah.
then there's this advanced form of it known as future sight, and it allowed this character and one other to see like a minute or so in front of the future to give them great insight. And the only thing to counter that would be to be so fast that you couldn't react to it. But yeah, there's precognition is just really sick and like stuff.
Mhm. But aye, that's my last one for this main topic.
Yeah, that brings us on to the new section, I believe.
Yes. What's new?
What's new with the world? Um, well,
That starts off. What have you got first?
I've got first. Let me have a wee look. Yes, my first bit of news is uh that Dexter, the show about serial killers and shit that ended a few years ago, is
Oh yeah.
coming back for a very limited series. So it's not getting revived so much as it's getting like a little like wee tribute season. And I thought it was good because I really like Dexter, and I wonder what they're gonna do with it, seeing as it's been quite a few years since it's ended. And I don't think you've watched any of it, but it's just something that I get to maybe watch again. Maybe I'll rewatch the show for this
Hmm.
wee limited series.
Yeah, I haven't seen Dexter, so
I always mind talking to folk about Dexter, and they were like, "I thought you were talking about Dexter's Lab," but then you started bringing up like killing and serial killers and like how he like stabbed folk, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
yes, it's developed quite a lot over the years.
Yes.
Laboratory is no longer a laboratory.
Fuck's sake. That's my first tidbit of news.
Hmm. Well, the first bit I have in the news is actually Borderlands 3 related. And it's essentially, they came out and they said, hey, look, we're doing season 2, right, for DLC, which is meant to include two DLCs. But yeah, the first one, I think both of them, it's called the Designer's Cut and the Director's Cut. That's the 2 DLC packs that we're going to get in this new season. And the Designer Cut, I think, comes out November 10th, potentially. It's quite soon anyway. So it'll be on next gen consoles. And with this DLC, essentially what they've done, they've added a new skill tree onto every single Vault Hunter that you can play as, which I've looked into a couple of them. I don't think I've seen Zane's one, because Zane's one got announced yesterday. So I haven't had a chance to check out Zane, but I've seen the other ones, and oh my, do they look good? With Flak, you know how Flak's main ability is he has a pet.
He's passive,
right?
essentially.
Yeah. So his new pet in the skill tree is actually a loader. It's a loader bot. Which I think the initial one is like an ion loader, and then from that point on you can upgrade it through this and that. And I've seen a couple builds on it, and genuinely the damage that this loader does can take out bosses itself. It's disgusting.
Oh my.
Fully. I've seen him take out Tron. Oh man, yeah, it looks really, really good. So I'm looking forward to jumping on and playing as Flak again, and switching up my build to try that out. With Amara, she has a new phase flare type thing. So it's just this orb that anything in the orb's radius, it just
sort of like the Flacker, but big, is it?
Yeah. Anything in its
radius,
anything near it, it just takes damage. So you can throw it out towards enemies, but you can, I think I've seen in the gameplay, you can call it back to you, and then you can punch it out. So it'll be interesting to look into that a bit more, seeing what you can do with it. With Moles, I've seen that you get the Iron Bear that you can jump into.
Yes. Oh, I think I've seen that one.
Her new skill tree is Iron Cub, which is essentially an auto-controlled Iron Bear, but it's tiny.
Yeah.
So you're essentially getting an Iron Bear as a pet with this. And it still has all the damage in that, which is nuts.
But it sounds similar to just having a loader bot.
Yeah, they're kind of similar.
Could add more variety though.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen Zane's, as I said, so I'll have to have a quick look at some point and find out. But I'm definitely excited to play some more Borderlands.
Yeah.
It adds just a whole new joy to play with all these characters. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, my second bit of news was a few days ago, or maybe I don't think it was yesterday, but found out recently, and it was I knew that Archer's current season that was airing was going to be the last. It was said to be the last, but I think its ratings were so good so far that the place that's streaming or airing it has just went, oh, I want another season. They're like, what? So Archer's getting renewed for a season 12. And everybody's like, wait, I thought it was ending. But apparently it's just so good. But no, when I heard this news, I was like, what? I fucking love Archer. It's oh man, it's the thing I always stick on if I'm I don't know what to watch and I just want to rewatch something.
Yeah.
It's just, now that it's going to be season 12, I haven't even seen season 11. I'm waiting for it to finish airing. But I'm just oh, that's made me so excited. Always love knowing a show that's going to end, that you're oh, it's ending, oh, that's too bad. At least I enjoyed the show, and then finding out it's coming back for another season, you're well, fucking, I don't mind if I do.
Was it planning on ending because of like that they just wanted to end it, or?
Well, a bit of spoilers in case you haven't caught up with Archer fully.
Hmm.
Cough, cough, Ken. Cough, cough. But it's not really like a storyline based show. But I think as of season 6, Archer went into a coma. So from season 7 to 10, there were like these what if scenario seasons based on the mind of Archer when he's in the coma. So like season 7 was like 19 something, basically during like the mafia era of like the 1900s, and he was a detective, and that went on. And then season 8 came about, and it was set like in the Conga, sort of like, I can't like mind specifically where, but like he's now a seaplane pilot with Pam and shit, and Kreeg's for some reason a parrot.
Right.
And then season, did I say season 8? So what's season 9? I can't mind. Season 7 might have been when he went to the coma, and then season 8 was the Mafia. Well, season 10, either way, the one before he came out of the coma was set in space. It's a space one where like it's sort of like alien-esque and like they're doing stuff. But now it's went back to normal for season 11, and obviously it's been well received, and they've been renewed for season 12. So they're going to just end season 11 because they've came out of the coma after years of airing this
Yeah.
what if scenario, and they're like, we're gonna wrap up Archer's story. Like he has a family now, which was before he went to coma and stuff. He's a better person than he's ever been. But obviously there's more stuff.
Well,
I'm not gonna argue that.
yeah, I think most Archer fans will be happy with this.
No, I. No, I.
But aye, my next bit of news I have is boxing related. I think it was last Saturday. There was the big fight between Lomachenko and Lopez. And this was genuinely like entertaining, because not only was it like a big matchup, it was one of those boxing fights like it was taken for the boxing and not for the business,
Mm-hmm.
because they're two incredible fighters. And it's kind of hard to imagine either of them losing here, but alas, one of them did lose, and it was Lomachenko, surprisingly. But yeah, I stayed up for this fight because I was really looking forward to it. And for the first like 6 rounds or so, Lomachenko was just really slow. He didn't really throw too many punches. I think he was just sort of trying to analyze Lopez a bit. Um, and yeah, like all those early rounds, I think is part of what cost him. And Lopez is known for having a bit of power in him, but he generally boxed really well, and his movement was like spot on. So fair play to Lopez. He took the fight to Lomachenko. It wasn't until like that like 7th round or that Lomachenko started dominating a bit more. So like yeah, the first half was like Lopez was the one winning in the scorecards, and then second half it was Lomachenko. Last round Lopez just went hell for leather. So I think he won that last round, and yeah, to be honest, when I was watching the fight and it finished, I thought it was going to be a draw. I thought it was really close, in the long run, but when they announced that it was Lopez that won, and they said the scorecards, and some of them were just questionable. Like I think one of them was like 118 to 109 in favor of Lopez, and I was like, what? he did not win by that fucking much a stretch.
Mm.
I thought it was a lot closer than that, but anyway, Lopez comes away with the belts, and I think he's got all of them apart from one. I think all of them apart from one, and that one is Devin Haney that has it. So hopefully they fight. But we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see. I think the next boxing fight coming up is Usyk versus Chisora. But anyway, yeah, that's my bit of boxing news. Lopez beating Lomachenko.
My last bit of news is Scotland has integrated a wee new tier system for COVID, and I think
Yes.
England also has one as well. As it's quite different, but this tier system is 1 to 4. So 4 is a full on lockdown, I think. So like
Yeah,
so
it is.
non-essential shops is like shutting down. So pubs, probably most gift shops and stuff like that. I think tier 3 is pubs are open, like hospitality's open, but you can't serve alcohol.
Hmm.
Oh, it's not 4 tiers, sorry, it's 5 tiers, but it's like level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1, level 0. So level 4 is schools will
Oh,
stay open
yeah.
and outdoor meeting will still be allowed, but everything else fucked. Level 3 is alcohol sales not permitted indoors or outdoors. Restaurants can stay open, but under strict conditions, so like time for one, so like 6 till 6 still. Level 2, no indoor meeting with other households still. 6 people from 2 households can meet outdoors and indoors. Hospitality, that's still time. Pubs are permitted to sell alcohol indoors, but only with a main meal. So I'm like, so what if you buy like 10 main meals then? I mean, it would be very expensive, but people,
Oh
and time
my
restrictions
god.
may still apply for level 2. Level 1 would be like,
Yeah.
I think it's 6 people from 2 households can meet indoors and outdoors, but that's the only restriction.
Right.
So like pubs go back to normal. I don't know if like time restrictions are still on it, and then level 0 is 15 people from 5 households can meet outdoors, and indoor meetings are allowed of 8 people from 3 households. It's basically pretty much normal. I think ourselves in Inverness are level 2, so I don't think we're quite high, but I think it's the Highlands in general are being judged as level 2. Whether it goes up or down, we might go to level 1. But
Yeah,
like,
I think we'll be no, I think we'll be fine. Like, I think it'll go down for us. But places like Glasgow and that, that'll be quite hefty.
that's the thing. We're being judged through as the Highlands rather than city by city.
Aye.
I don't think Inverness has got a lot of cases. I'm not too sure. I was trying to look up like cases in Inverness earlier, and I wouldn't get anything.
I don't think it's too high. So, but we'll definitely see. I've seen tons of people online talking about the having to get a meal with your drink, and it's just the scene from In-Betweeners where they're like, "I'll have 3 pints and 3 carvery dinners, please."
Oh my god.
Oh no! Good lord!
Mental. Suppose you could like suppose you could buy like a wee small pizza and then order like the whole round of drinks in that one order, and then order another wee small pizza for the next round of drinks or something. I don't know.
Slice each for all the lads.
Oh my god. Aye, that's the new tier system that we're getting.
It's not
Aye.
bad. So yeah, is that all the bits of news you've got?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have one more, and it's music related. There's obviously a lot of new music that comes out, and a lot of it I generally won't tend to speak of on this, but This I find quite interesting. It's the New Architects, and yeah, so Architects came out a couple days ago with a new single called Animals. And I've been a fan of Architects for quite a while now. I think it must be. I wasn't like into them. I didn't know of them super early, and they've been about since like 2006 when they were like really really heavy. And they've had tons of albums since. But I got into them probably when All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us came out. That was like 2016. That's when I heard them, so it was kind of late. But since then, I've been a huge fan of. I love like all their albums. And the this new single is, I think it's the first. It's the first like start of like a new era for them, because before one of their members passed away. So the album before that came out in 2018, Holy Hell, that was the last bit that he had worked on. Although the album came out like after his death, and there's a lot of it that touches on it. But like riffs and stuff like that, he definitely helped towards. So from this point on, it's seeing like what they go and do. And this song, they're quite a heavy band. But this song, it's interesting to see where they're going to go. Because in this, the main riff is absolutely chunky and it's heavy. But then the rest of the song, and vocally, it's not, there's like no real screaming in it at all. And Architects are quite famous for their bleh. Their bleh.
They're bleh.
Yeah. And it's not in the song. It's not. So, but anyway, yeah, they announced the new album coming out, and I think it's February it comes out. So I will definitely be getting that on vinyl. But I wonder how it's gonna be the full thing. Obviously, it's hard to judge an entire album based off of one song. You can't really do that.
Yeah.
So this could be one of the lighter ones, or it could be the other way around, and it could be this is one of the heavier ones, and they start going down this path of trying to be more pop like, you know. Bring Me the Horizon have had slack for doing this. Essentially, they used to be quite heavy and quite like a screamo band, you know. Screamo vocals, and over time, I think Ollie lost his voice. It just got fucked. So they started doing like a lot more tame stuff. But aside from that, Bring Me is also coming out with some interesting songs. But yeah, Architects, I'm excited. Definitely excited. I really like Animals. I do really like Animals. I'm hyped to see what they're going to do. Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
though it's not my list, you speaking of albums made me think about the Friday, like it was like midnight of Friday, so like turning from Thursday into Friday.
New Music Friday.
That Gorillaz released the rest of their album, the Song Machine.
Yes, glorious.
And it was quite good. Good listen. I do think they've released their best songs before like the full release. But there's definitely a lot of good songs, really good songs. Well, to be fair, a lot of like the songs they did release before the full release were actual animated music videos. Like the reason they're animated music videos is because they're high tier music. The rest is just like just on the album. They're really nice listens. I really like the Valley of the Pagans song in the album, and there's 1 hour. I'll need to give it like an hour listen to like the whole.
Oh yeah, definitely. Need to listen to it through. I feel what's interesting about this album is I feel like a lot of albums, right? They come out and it's one of those things where like you should listen to this from start to finish in one go and listen to it in order. But this album, I genuinely feel like the best way to listen to it is on shuffle. I feel like Song Machine
I
on shuffle.
generally do
Do
that with
you know what I mean?
Gorillaz. I'll just have a big fuck of playlist of every song and just put it on shuffle. But like when it comes to like albums, like I don't know if I'd put it in shuffle. I'll just play it. I don't mind what comes on.
Yeah,
Now
but
Now's definitely an album I would stick on shuffle.
hmm. But it is a good release. We've got different opinions on it.
Oh, yeah.
You were saying the singles before, and a lot of bands, a lot of artists will put out their best tracks as singles beforehand. I do think there's quite a few songs on the full release that go just wow. They're class. They are class. You were saying Valley of the Pagans. It's a great song. A couple others that I really liked. Lost Chord.
There was the one that you
There was Opium.
was
MLS with man like
the
Peggy,
one with the
JPEG
bass.
Mafia. The bass.
Yeah, with the sad music.
Oh, Dead Butterflies. I did not enjoy Dead
I love that. I
Butterflies.
think it's the best one.
Yeah.
Next to Valley of the Pagan. Where else? I think Skepta for you. I didn't really like.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting though, because
Uh,
music is subjective.
and you're wrong.
Let's go see what. That's what girls are good for. I'm wrong.
Oh, the lag really showed there.
Oh, Lord.
I'll be funny to listen to. But aye, that's subjective, and that wraps us up on news, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It does.
On to our general talk. Some the subject of favorite what? Suspense. Favorite episodes.
Favorite episodes. Yes.
And would you like to start us off with this topic?
Yeah.
Trevor?
Sure. I shall. Definitely. I was trying to think about favorite episodes, and honestly, the one that stands out the absolute most, and it gets me every time. I could watch this by itself. I don't need to be like, oh, I fancy rewatching this show. I could just watch this episode alone by itself, and it's oh my god. But yeah, so IT Crowd, season 2, and it's the very first episode, episode 1, titled "The Work Outing," and oh my god, is this just pure comedy genius? Oh, just thinking about it just gets me laughing. But yeah, the idea of this episode essentially, someone I think someone who works in a building comes down and asks Jen to borrow like this Heat magazine, as well as like ask her out to go to the theater. I think it was, and she obviously accepts, and what is it? Roy and Moss hear that a certain person is meant to be working the theatre. So they, we're coming as well, and they start inviting themselves. And throughout the episode, there's the one sort of storyline that sort of follows, in that Jen is on this date with, I think his name is Philip. But throughout it, she is trying to figure out if he is gay or not, because like with the Heat magazine, the way he acts, this and that. So she's really trying to figure out if he's gay or not on this date. And she's like, no, surely not. And while that's going out, they're like not enjoying the theater, and I think at like the halftime bit, need the toilet, right? Then you go for a piss. They go to the toilets, but there's like a guy in the toilets that's sort of waiting. and I think they go to do the toilet, but they don't actually. They come out and they're like, I didn't do that because he was standing there. And Roy's like, right, fuck it, I'll just go into the disabled toilets. And he goes in, he does the toilet, and he goes to flush it, and he's pulling on the flush. And he's like, what? Why is this not working? And then he looks up and he realizes he was pulling on the fucking emergency bit.
For staff to come by.
Yeah. So the next minute, the ushers and like the staff are outside, like, "You all right in there? What's going on?" And they're like trying to break down the door, and he's like, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do? Fuck." So eventually, they break down the door. Roy's just lying down on the ground, and he's like, "Oh, I fell off the toilet." So the manager pulls him up, and he's like, "So what? What's happened here?" And he's like, "I'm disabled." And he's like, "What do you mean? What disabled?" And he's like, "Leg disabled." Oh, and it's so funny because he's just, for the rest of the episode from that point on, he's pretending to be disabled so that he doesn't like get in trouble. So they end up. He claims that someone came in, stole his wheelchair, and left. And he's like, "How did he get in? I don't know." Oh, it's honestly so funny. So for the rest of the episode, yeah, he's in a wheelchair and he's pretending to be disabled. And at the end of the theater, Jen and that comes out, and she sees Roy in the wheelchair and is like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" Starts questioning him, and he's still playing along. And then next minute she's like, "Right, I need a drink. She turns around and Moss is just working. And she's, "What can I get you?" Oh, it's so stupid, but it's absolutely hilarious. I'd advise watching it, just that episode alone.
Amazing.
Oh my god, just it's so humorous.
Man.
But yeah, that's my absolute favorite episode, and the first that I will mention.
Oh, well, my first one. It's a very mixed episode. To be fair, it's called "The Tales of Ba Sing Se" from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's in book 2, I believe. Well, yeah, it's book 2, and the episode is structured within these like small segments. I think there's 4 segments. Yeah, I think there's 5 segments, I believe, to the episode. If I'm right, I might be wrong. I think Zuko is part of one of the segments, but I'm considering to be wrong on that. But I think the episode starts off with two of the characters, Katara, Toph, and it's nice. It's a nice episode because it starts off with them. One of the characters is trying to show the blind girl Toph that she's pretty even though she can't see. She doesn't know who anybody is. She can't see what other people look like, but she is being like told and assured that she is pretty despite what they look like. There's a wee funny segment in their bit where they're walking across a bridge and a bunch of pretty girls are like, "Oh, you look pretty," and then Toph's like, "Ah, thanks," and then all you hear from far away is like, "Yeah, maybe to a mule or something," like basically insulting her.
Mm.
And I think Katara and Toph just stop and they're like, "Oh, what are they gonna do?" Because Toph is a earthbender, so that she can manipulate like the earth. And
Yeah.
she says, "Oh, it's okay, Katara, it's okay. They're just being mean spirited. I'm used to it." And then she stamps her foot, and then like a circular part of the bridge just falls underneath, and they fall into the river below. And it's I was like, "Ha, fucking knuppins." And then Katara using her waterbending just like flushes them away. So I'm like, "Oh, this is a good start to the episode. A wee segment about being friends and like assuring them that they are pretty and that they're not ugly and like to raise their confidence and stuff." It's good. And then the next segment of the episode is um I'm gonna guess that it's Zuko. And it goes by that he meets a girl. Where else we normally know Zuko as the guy who's hunting the Avatar. He's like really angry. He's a firebrand. He's dangerous. But in this episode, he's taking out a girl for a date, and he's really nice. And it's a bit where they're at the main stage of the town, and she's like, "Oh, I wish all the candles were lit." And he says to her like, "Well, close your eyes for a surprise." And he lights all the candles. Uh, Basically, they're all lit for his firebending. And it's a really nice, touching scene. And she says, "Close your
Mm.
eyes," and gives him a wee peck, a wee kiss. And that we don't really see the girl again, but it's like, oh, there's a softer side to this like harsher character. And then I don't know if segments in order, but the best segment is from a character called Uncle Iroh. And he's just really funny. He's just like this older fat man who's the uncle of Zuko. He's a firebender as well, but he's like, "Oh yes, I love my tea and hot springs." So like he's really chill. He's really nice. He's like, you've got to align your spiritual energies by drinking tea and sort of stuff. And you're like, he's funny. Like you also know he's like he's really wise. And the episode starts with him just walking through town, seeing kids. It gets to a part where a mugger obviously tries to mug him, and his reply to the mugger is like, "Your stance is all wrong." And he's like, what are you talking about, old man?" As he points the knife at him, saying, look at the way your feet are. They're two together. It's like, if you don't watch, I can easily just knock you off your feet. And he just grabs him by the arm and pushes him, and he falls onto the ground. He's like, get up, get up. And he gets up and he says, move your feet like this and that. Spread it a bit more. Make your guard a bit more firm, and there you go. And you're just sat there like, why is Iroh telling this guy how to mug? It's like, and then he gets the guy to explain to him. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to feed my family." He's like, "Well, just I know it's hard, but just try and like find another way. Never do the bad thing if you can." Sort of stuff. And then it gets to a bit where he finds a woman on the street whose child's crying, and he starts singing this song
Mm.
to him called Soldier Boy, and he's like, na 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 na, and he's sort of singing it badly. He's not a great singer, and you're like, oh, this is funny. He's calming down this child. At the end, though, we see him walk up a hill to a wee grave he's made, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh no, oh no. It's the grave of his son who died in the city he is currently in. And you're like, oh no. And then he starts singing really solemnly, "Oh, soldier boy. Na, 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 na." And I'm just like, you're not gonna make me cry today, Avatar. Stop. Stop. It's like,
Please no.
and then it comes up. This is the worst part. It comes up saying, "Rest in peace, Mako," which isn't the name of. I don't think it's the name of his son. But then you realize that Iroh's voice actor is called Mako. The voice actor for him had died during that season coming out. So they added this bit in because it's actually a tribute to Mako dying, the voice actor as well. So that makes it all the more sad.
Jeez.
I'm just like, God fucking damn. God damn.
It's a hard hit.
It's a really hard hit. The other part, the final part, not the final part, because there's Aang's bit, but basically Aang's part of the episode as well, which is really entertaining, is that a bunch of the animals in the city, the zoo, has been locked up. They're all locked up. There's no money going in it. Nobody can come out to see it due to the government restricting it. So Aang decides he's going to create a zoo, but in turns releases the animals and they'll start running amok. But it's a nice wee like animal thing. Like, oh, these animals are being treated poorly and stuff. Like, and you want to see them do better. You don't want to see them stuck in cages. If you're going to have them in captivity, at least have them big open spaces and sort of stuff like that. That's his bit, which is really nice. The last bit, and I can't remember the order because it's in segments. I know the Tarantoth thing was first, but we end with Sokka, another character who's fairly comedic, and he accidentally stumbles into a haiku hut. And you know about haikus yourself, so like it's something like, was it 3 syllables, 7 and 5 or something? Like you'll know it better because you did it in school. 7, 5. I can't remember.
I think it's 575.
But
I think
so
something like that. Yeah.
that's what he has. He learns that's what haiku is, and just throughout the fucking episode, there's just a bunch of women in this haiku hut. So like it just ends with him constantly doing haikus, and he's managing to do the perfect syllables and shit. And they're getting like all the girls are laughing. He's getting impressed because they're really shit haikus, but he's still pulling off the syllables. But he ends up like fucking up at the end, and the woman who's been trying to get him kicked out is finally like, yeah, you're getting fucking kicked out, and the bodyguard comes up, or security comes up and just chucks him out. And that's the whole episode. There's just so much happening in that one episode. So many tales, short stories essentially, and it's just I don't think there's a single bad one. I think the one that least impacts me is like the soccer one, but it's fairly funny still. Just the whole soldier boy thing still like it's incredibly sad to me
Oh boy.
because Iroh's the best character in the show. So seeing him like upset and crying while he's singing about his lost like deceased son, and then we find out the voice actor's also dead, and you're like, what? That is just a really good episode.
Mm.
Bit of a tangent to explain the whole episode, but it's very convoluted.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, seeing it was only 24 minutes long, and there's other episodes that are like 47 minutes long, due to specials and stuff. But what about your second example?
Yeah. So my second is from one of my favorite shows, which has been mentioned before, Supernatural. This one, there's quite a few good episodes, and some of them are finales or mid-season finales, but this isn't. This is actually season 3, episode 11, and you'll know this. It's titled Mystery Spot. Yeah. And this is a fantastic episode. Essentially, it starts off where Sam and Dean they go to this like town because to investigate like the disappearance of someone who disappeared at like a tourist attraction place, and the tourist attraction is called the Mystery Spot. And essentially, they get into town, they grab breakfast, they do this and that, and they get to the spot. They start investigating, blah blah blah. They find the owner. They meet the owner who sees them and brings out a shotgun. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" and whatnot. And they're like trying to talk him down and that. And then he shoots Dean, and Dean dies right there and then. And Sam's like, "What? No, what?" And then all of a sudden, Sam wakes up again. It's the exact same day, and he's like, "Hold on, what just happened?" And everything is going the exact same way as the previous day did, right? So he's confused by this, and he's like, "Right, how about we do this differently, right? Just to stop him from dying." He's like, "Right, well, we're not going to do that." He wasn't sure if it was like a dream or like one of his vision things, or it could have been anything. But essentially, this time, he was like, "Right, I'm gonna stop him from dying. We're gonna do this differently." They go ahead, they do it differently, and he dies again. Dean dies again, and he wakes up. Sam wakes up, and is like, "Nah, what's happening?" He's stuck in like this Groundhog Day of just. He wakes up, he does whatever, then Dean dies. So it starts like speeding up, and he's trying to avoid doing this, and he avoids doing that, but he still finds another way that Dean dies. So it just goes in this massive loop until I think it gets to the point where he notices that one of these mornings. So he's looked like hundreds of times, and I think he notices that one of the guys in the breakfast like deli place has something different that morning. Now, like obviously because the same things are meant to happen every in this one day, he notices it and he follows the guy out, only for it to be the trickster.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Blah blah blah." And he essentially tells him to stop. And so Trickster's like, "Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop." And then uh, I think it happens again. Dean dies, but this time he is dead, and there's no waking up again. So for the rest of the episode, Sam's just like pure focused, absolutely super focused on hunting down the trickster and trying to get Dean back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really well done episode. It does eventually get to the point where he goes back. He manages to save Dean. They wake up again on that same morning, I think, or maybe it was the next morning. They wake up the next morning, and he's like, "Oh, thank God! Holy shit! Right, we need to just go out here," and that's it. That's how the episode ends. They leave. Don't investigate this thing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good episode. I think there's a few in Supernatural that I could have mentioned, but I think this one definitely stands as one of those good ones. What
That was a
what
really
else
good
have you
episode.
got?
And I'm still spiteful that a certain person watched it without me during our rewatch.
Oh,
Certain brother. One episode. Probably my favorite episode as well, to be fair.
that one. Oh.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
my second one is a more comedic one. It's like my favorite episode in the show. Hence why it's in my favorite episodes section. But Rick's 10 minutes from Rick and Morty. I think it's season 1. And the episode is it's very odd. It does nothing really happens plot wise. It's just Rick decides, all right, buddy, your family's just watching shit on the TV and it's just I need to do something about this. And he gets up and he rips out the cords for the TV because the TV they're watching is just shite. It's just, there's nothing on. And he sticks in this thing and it's like intergalactic TV or interdimensional TV. And the whole point of it is you can like click on a channel and it'll be a multiverse channel of something random. So like it'll click onto the said channel and it'll be some guy eating and all you hear is some other coming in and it's like, you gotta stop eating shit, Glenn. That's shit you're eating. And Glenn's like, stop it, ma. I just like eating shit, man. I just want to eat shit. That's all I want to do. Eat shit. And everybody's just like, what? What is this? There's a part where like he goes for the channels and like Morty's da
Mm.
is just on the TV. And he's like, go back, I want to see this. I want to see this. And I think one of the funnier ones for me is it just comes from this guy who sells I can't mind what he sells, but I think he sells furniture or stoves and stuff. And he's just like, I'm Handsome My Eyes Johnson.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah, I've
Handsome My Eyes
seen that.
Johnson here at and he's just like got ants in his eyes. He's like, I also can't feel anything. I don't have a sense of touch. I'm Handsome My Eyes Johnson as he puts his hand on the stove and he starts catching fires. Come here, come to my place, buy it all. There's a Gazorp Field, which is obscure because it's Garfield, but it's Gazorp Field. So it's like an alien species they've
Yeah.
already encountered in the show, but it's Garfield. And it's just not normal Garfield. It's just Garfield just looking up at Gazorp John and going, "Fuck you, John. Fuck you and your mother." And John's just like, "Whoa, Gazorp Field, where's this coming from? Fuck you and your pussy-lipped face and your lasagna," sort of like that mentality, and you're just like,
Uh,
"Whoa." And then the other funny thing in the episode is like, welcome to the real fake doors, www.fakedoors.com. The real fake doors are here. And it's like, so wait, so this guy just sells fake doors? Yeah, he just sells fake doors. Like, yeah, come here, look at this door. You open it. Oh, you can't open it because it's a fake door. It's a fake door. And then it's odd because eventually it just he just leaves the set and he goes home and Rick's like, wait a minute. Uh, is this still part of the show, or is this just are we just watching this guy go home? he goes home and eats like cereal or something. There's the eye hole man's like, oh, stop eating my eye holes. I'm the eye hole man. They're my eye holes. They're mine. No one can have them because I'm the eye hole man. It's all stupid. It's just the whole
Mm.
premise of the episode is like Justin Roiland, who's the voice actor for Rick and Morty, is ad-libbing everything. It's completely improvised.
Yeah, it is ad lib too.
It's ad-lib. The whole episode's ad-libbed, which is the whole point of it, and that's why it's so random, and it's why how the premise of it's intergalactic, interdimensional TV, so anything can happen. And it gets to a point where Summers and the man that asks, "Can we have like specific, like VR glasses to see realities that we want to see?" And Rick's like, "Sure, go on. If you will fucking go see realities where the man Jerry and I can't remember the Maw's name, but they want to see a future where they didn't have kids." And then Summer, the daughter's like, "What the fuck?" And she keeps on scrolling through uh like different dimensions and shit where she is still born with the parents, and she can't find a single one where her life looks interesting. So no matter what dimension she's born in, their life's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just depressing and shit. And that's why Rick was saying, like, this is why I didn't want to give you guys these glasses to look specifically at futures that you would wonder, like, what ifs. Because it's just stupid. And that's why I like Rick's Minutes, because it's just so bizarre. And he does another one in season 2, and in season 3 has like a different version called was it Morty's Mind Blowers, where it's actual moments, but the point is they find a room of memories that has been erased from Morty's mind because of the shit he's seen, and we see these moments. But I don't think it beats season 1's Rick's Minutes. It's just so funny to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my second one.
Decent one. I passed those 2 episodes I mentioned. It gets kind of difficult for me, because there are so many shows that are quite solid throughout the way, and I couldn't quite pick out specific episodes. But my next 2 are actually both pilots. And the first pilot is Breaking Bad's. Yeah, Breaking Bad's. It's a quality show, and I think pilots are very important to have, like done well for a lot of shows. And it's always interesting to see like what happens from that, because there's certain shows like where things change beyond the pilot. For example, in Lucifer, there's someone who plays Dan in that first episode, and then after that, it's a different actor. In like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the pilot for that, I think the meeting room is a completely different room in the pilot, but the rest of the show, it's the one that it normally is. So stuff like that, it's interesting to see. But as in terms of like actual like strength of quality of a pilot, Breaking Bad's just absolutely fantastic. It starts off with, I think it starts off with Walt is like recording himself.
Oh yeah.
As he's recording like this sort of goodbye video to his family, sort of saying like sorry and whatnot, blah blah blah, because he's about to like kill himself. And he's like out in the desert, no pants on, and it starts with that, and then it like goes back to I think 3 weeks earlier or something like that. Walt's 50th birthday, blah blah blah. He's talking with family, and he's talking with what's his name, Hank, right? And essentially Hank talks, and he talks about his work, and talks about how he did like a drug bust, and he confiscated like 800k, 700k worth of money, and Walt's like, Jesus, that's a lot. It's like, that's mad money. And Hank's like, yeah, you should come out with us next time we do a drug bust. And he's like, I don't know about that. And then like a couple of days later, I think he's working at the car wash, and he like collapses and whatnot. So he goes to the. I think he's working, like
a
Walt
car wash.
when he. Yeah, he's working at the car wash.
'Cause he's a
Walt.
teacher, isn't he? Because doesn't he buy the car wash later
Aye,
on when he
but
works at
he
it?
he does both.
Does
I
he?
can't quite mind.
Oh my god. I need to rewatch if that's the case.
He something like that, but he fainted. Goes to the hospital, blah blah blah, and then they're talking to him, and they say, "Look, you've got lung cancer," and he sort of like his mind just sort of disassociates to stop listening to what the guy's saying. He's just like, Jesus Christ, you know. And then he zones back in. He's like, "Are you okay?" So yeah. So from that point on, I think Walt is like, you know what,
Right.
Hank, I'm gonna
Right.
take you up on your deal. Or was he working?
Yeah, he was working.
Yeah, thought that. So yeah, he takes him up on the idea to go to this bust, do the misses. One of his ex-students escaping out the building while he's like sat in the car, and yeah, from that point on, he essentially just he goes and I think he blackmails Jesse, and he's like, okay, let's use your brains together. My brains have been a chemistry teacher, and yours have like the actual being involved with the drug world, and we'll make some crystal fucking meth. And if you don't do this with me, then I'll hand you in, type thing. And yeah, from that point they go get the RV. I think Walt steals from the school,
Yeah.
like the supplies and stuff, and it just leads all the way up to that point of the RV, and it's just a solid pilot for a show. It gets you really involved and engaged with it,
AMC's
with the
really good for
story, and
pilots.
so yeah, I definitely think that's one of the best pilots of any show, really.
Yeah. I would agree,
Um,
actually, yeah.
so it's great. It's really great. So yeah, that's my third.
Um, there's a lot of my favorite episodes and shows are always the most fucking depressing ones. So that's why I try to include 60 Minutes. But my next one hits home as a favorite episode.
Okay.
It's Time's Arrow from BoJack Horseman, which I always get confused whether the mother appears for season 3 or 4, but I'm gonna say season 3. I feel like it's season 3. So essentially, BoJack Horseman, the main character, has a mother who we find out is staying with him now suddenly, and it's because she's having a manic dementia. She has mad dementia, and we get to see through the season how it's affecting her. She doesn't even recognize BoJack. It's like uh, basically calling her the name of one of the house workers, one of the cleaning ladies that used to be around during BoJack's childhood,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And in Time's Arrow, we see flashbacks. Like we see the perspective of Beatrice, which is her name, and how what's happening. And she like flashes back to herself as a child, and we see how she was growing up in like the 30s or the 40s. How she had a mother who was a bit rebellious, but like sort of knew her place. Had a brother who went to war. Dad's really proud of the brother. Eventually, we find out that the brother dies in war, and we're like, ah, shit, that's not too great. And Beatrice is sad, and the mother's really upset, and it eventually gets to the point where she breaks out into like a state where she starts drinking at a random dance party. I think she randomly kisses somebody and then starts dancing with another person, Eventually, she is arrested, I believe, with a I think. Oh, it would have been arrested after. She was in the car with Beatrice, and she gets the Beatrice to start steering the car while she's driving. Keep in mind that this child is like 6 at the time, and we're just like, "Oh, this is fucked up." And then the dad gives her a row and says, "Well, you've got one option then." And we're like, "What's going to happen with her? What's the option?" And we cut to her sitting at a piano, and Beatrice goes up to her and asks her like, "What's going on? What's wrong? What's wrong with Mummy? Well, why is she not sounding normal? No emotion or nothing." Eventually, we get to see the Moss face, and she has a huge lobotomy scar across her forehead. Like, so her brain's been like parts of her like frontal lobe has been cut out and fucked with to like restrict her like hormones from making her do more stuff. So we find out that's a horrible part of her childhood. We see her grow up into a teenager. She's being forced to marry folk because she's part of a wealthy family, and she ends up fucking off with Bojack's dad instead, who is a writer, which isn't a good sign for the family. So they're not got much money anymore. Eventually, we find out that the dad can't like sustain this lifestyle with them all while having a child, being a writer. So he eventually goes back to work for her dad's family, but she's not getting any money, like any wealth. The whole thing's from him working for the Sugar family, whatever the name is. And this causes like a bit of a disdain from Beatrice. She starts getting a hatred because not only is her father fucked up her life because of the mother, who's like now like emotionless, but she starts being spiteful of Bojack, her son. Very like sort of mean spirited and harsh with him. But she takes this under as like tough love and stuff, and this is why Bojack is the way he is when he's older. Like he's like, uh, like alcoholic. He's really mean spirited as well. But as we find out later in the episode, with this all happening, she takes up drinking a lot, and it sort of like skips to now where she has dementia. So we know why she is the way she is and why she's really mean spirited and that. The dad and the mom used to always fight. Not the dad and the mother, Beatrice and the dad used to fight Bojack's dad. And the episode ends with Bojack being like actually done with Beatrice's shit and puts her in a really shit nursing home. And that's how the episode ends. And like I know how Bojack feels for the episode because in the episode, like he's constantly being forgotten. She doesn't know who he is, and it hits home because obviously I had a family member who had dementia, and that's how it felt and how it like was represented. So like this episode is really well structured through flashbacks, and Bojack, who at the time for the flashbacks that were happening, he was in the old house that she stayed in, which is how the flashbacks triggered a lot of the time, and it would like go from the past to now where he was staying in like this old rugged place, and though it isn't in the same episode, we find out during one of the seasons that she's dead. She dies in that nursing home, which makes the episode all the more depressing that she's just been stuck in this nursing home. But that's the thing. Before Bojack leaves at the end of the episode, she finally says his name, and he turns around and he's just like, "What the fuck did you say?" And that's how it ends.
Wow.
It's just a really fucking depressing episode.
Aye.
It's definitely one of my favourites. And that's my third.
Nice one. So my last one I've got, as I said, also a pilot, and this one is The Walking Dead's pilot. Probably, yeah, no, that's another really, really strong one. And yeah, I love the show anyway. I think there's definitely been some good episodes throughout it. But the way the story's like conveyed in that from start to finish in just this one episode, I think it's fantastic. It starts off with I can't quite mind. I think it literally starts off with Rick waking up.
Yeah.
And he tries to escape the hospital because he's like, yo, what the fuck? Why am I locked in here? Whatnot. Goes down the hall. You see the doors that say, what is it? Dead inside, don't open. And yeah, just the way it, like the energy of it, of him waking up by himself, and he's just in this world. He's like, what's happened? Where is everybody? You know.
Dead don't open inside.
Aye. And I think there's a bit where he goes outside and he sees like this little girl
Oh
who then
yeah.
like starts attacking him and he falls over and whatnot. Yeah. And then he's forced to shoot and he's like, what's happening? And then I think after that point it goes to the flashback where Rick is a cop with Shane and I think they're waiting at like this part of the road because they've got like spikes on the road. They're waiting for someone to come, and I think they chat a bit. Then the car arrives, goes over the spikes, and like spins out onto like the grass. They go up to the car. One of them comes out with a gun, shoots Rick, and I think he's fine after that one because like he got shot in the chest, but he's got the bulletproof vest on, so he's fine. And Shane kills the guy who shot him, and he's like, "Oh, it's all good, it's all good." And then a third one like crawls under unnoticed into the grass, and then he shoots Rick like on the side, where he's not protected. And then from that point, he's like kind of bleeding out, and Shane's like, "You got to hold on, buddy. Ambulance is on the way." Blah blah blah. And then that's sort of when it cuts back to Rick, sort of like trying to find his family, trying to find everyone. And yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this. And I think once the full show is out, once it's finished, I will start it from the beginning and just go right through.
I am pretty much the same idea.
Yeah. At the end of this pilot, it's I think he gets trapped in the tank. He gets trapped in the tank. He jumps into the tank. There's a zombie in there, and he ends up having to shoot it, which then like sends out fucking wave of noise. He like comes out of the hole and has a look, and because all the zombies heard it, they start like trying to get in. He has to like close the hatch, and he's like, "What the fuck do I do?" He's just stuck in this tank as he's been swarmed. And it gets to the point where he's got the gun held to like his head, and he's like about to do it, and then I think it's Glenn. Like Glenn speaks to him through like the radio bit. And he's like, "Hey, you in there? You cozy?" And that's the end of the episode. It's a great one. It is a really good one because it's yeah, just there's not too much else to say. It's just a solid episode, solid pilot. That's my last.
Well, I might as well end my list on a more lighter note, even though it is a very fairly dark show. Is McPoyle versus Ponderosa, the trial of the century from Always Sunny
Good
in
lord.
Philadelphia, and it's just a mental episode. It's just the premise is there's a court case going on between the McPoyles and Ponderosa. I can't even mind what it is to do. I think it's to do with the wedding. It was to do with the wedding because
Yes, that's
Ponderosa
right.
spiked the milk or something like that,
Yes,
which caused
that's
the whole
right.
bath salt thing or whatever was going on. And it's just the whole thing was just like Charlie's a lawyer along with his uncle, I believe, who has this thing for having tiny hands. He's like, I have tiny hands. I must make them bigger. And for one of the fucking
He's
best
obsessed.
scenes in the show, if not one of the best scenes of all time for me, is just him doing like his whole court case. He's at the front talking to the judge, and he says, "Well, we should take a look over to John McPoyle." He looks back and like absolutely swings his arm, pointing, and the big like big fake hands he has like on. One of them just flies across the courtroom, lands on the seat. You hear it, and you just look at it. It goes back to him holding his arm into his chest with his other hand covering it and going, "Don't look! Don't look! Don't look! Don't look! Don't look!" He's just going mental. It's just like, you're like, what the
Oh my god,
fuck?
the scream.
Oh, and then it's just really funny because Charlie, who we know as like he's sort of like a bumbling fool, is
Yeah.
sort of competent in certain episodes. Well, this is one of them where he like, but he constantly brings up bird law, and everybody's like, "Why the fuck do you keep up bringing up this bird law? There's no birds." Yes, but you've got to know. I brought in this specialist called let's just call him Professor Mortimer. I can't mind the name. It's like and
Aye.
he specializes in birds. And I just want to ask Professor Mortimer one question. Like, I want you to ask this bird: Did he what was it, murder or spike whatever? And the guy's just like, wait, what?
Someone got attacked and
Yeah, somebody got
lost
attacked,
their eye,
lost
wasn't
their
it?
eye. One of the McPoyles lost their eye, and
That's
this
right.
guy who has the bird under his hat, which he takes off, and we find out he has the bird. And that's when Charlie prompts the guy to ask the bird, did he claw this guy's eye out? And the guy's just like, I specialize in birds and I can identify them, but I can't understand what a bird says, nor do they understand
I
me.
can't speak to it.
I can't speak bird language. And Charlie's like,
It's
what?
like, what do you mean?
What? What do you mean? But this just ends and results with the bird just going manic anyway and clawing out the other lawyer's eye,
Yeah.
which further proves the whole theory that this bird was the reason that somebody's eye got clawed out. And they sort of win the case, and the other lawyer's just like, for fuck's sake, how the fuck did they win this? It's just a really good episode. It's one
It
I've
is.
I've watched just by itself sometimes. It's just like a lot of the gang during the episode will like leave the court to go find evidence for like to help them, and it's just the most stupid shit. Like Dee will come in and says, "Well, I'll have you know, they were having sex with me to learn things and for me to do stuff." And the judge is like, What? You didn't mention this before. You know that's against the oath." And she's like, what have I told you right now? It wasn't real." And it's like, "That's also against the oath. You're lying." And she's like, "Ah, fuck!" And then as the episode comes to a close, and they're like, "All right, case closed. You win. All right, next case. It's the Paddy's Pub versus whatever." And then
Yeah.
as they're
It's
turning to
like,
leave, oh, that's us, and they come back and they're just like, "Oh,
oh hell
God,
no.
no! Oh, hell no! No, not tonight! Not today! Hell no!"
It is a fucking
It's a
glorious episode, isn't it?
banger of an episode.
So Always Sunny has some absolute just spot on episodes.
Like Frank the Psychedelic.
Yeah. Oh my
There's
god.
a lot of good episodes.
The serial episode.
Oh my god, that's
Shout
like
out to
another
that.
court case one where like
Yeah. So
is Dennis in the wrong for eating cereal in his car, or is
essentially.
Frank the one in the wrong for causing the damage to the interior by banging into Dennis's car? And then religion somehow brought into it and shit and science, and you're like, wait, what's going on? But always Sunny is just a brilliant episode, and that
Definitely.
McCoyle versus Ponderosa. But that brings us to a close on favorite
I will
episodes.
say, quick honourable mention to the Brooklyn Nine-Nine episodes, the Halloween episodes.
Oh my god. So
Quick honourable mention to those, and just any episode that has the Pontiac Bandit. Just wanted to mention those briefly. But yeah, that closes us for favourite episodes.
Yes. And brings us on to the last topic, being best Easter eggs.
Ooh,
Would you like
there's
to
definitely some good ones.
go
Yes,
first?
I shall. So this first one is from a game that I love, the Wolfenstein games. It's from Wolfenstein: The New Order, which, goddamn, it's a good game. Absolutely good game. I think I played one of the early Wolfensteins way back, because I briefly mined just the sort of layout of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in the Easter egg that appears in this, I think you have to get to a certain point in the story, and you have to get to a certain safe house. And in the safe house, if you go upstairs and round some bits, you'll see this mattress, this sort of dirty mattress on the floor. And the Easter egg is that if you go up to it and you hold square to that to go to sleep, while you are sleeping, you load one of the old Wolfenstein 3D games levels. So it's like a full on old level, but it's slightly you still control the modern Wolfenstein character, Blazkowicz. You still control him. The guns is still proper quality.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire level and the enemies are just like it was in Wolfenstein 3D. So you can just go through this entire thing, and I think you get a trophy for completing it, which is great. I just find it such a really nice, neat Easter egg. The fact you can just do one of these levels, and it's oh yeah, it's fantastic. I played it quite a few times. Just that level,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was popular to the point where, in the next one, Old Blood, I think is the next one. In Old Blood, they sort of re-added it back in, but it's every sleep save point is a different level. I think they've done that. I can't quite remember, but yeah, in this Wolfenstein New Order, that Easter egg stands out to me, and that's my first one. What is your first?
A lot of my Easter eggs are just simple ones I just really enjoy. There's some that have a
Yeah.
bit more to say on it, but obviously there's a lot of game ones that are more complicated. I'm sure one of your ones is a bit more complicated, but just there's a lot of Disney ones, and I think just there's the scene in Tarzan where all the gorillas are doing this music scene, dance scene. But in this particular scene where there's music happening, all the gorillas are dancing and doing sort of stuff's going on. They're making shockingly weirdly musical noises with stuff that aren't instruments and stuff. And it gets to the point where one of the gorillas, I can never remember her name or if it's even a her, and it's she brings these spoons and starts tapping all the stuff on the table, and you know it's a tea set, and it's the exact same tea set from Beauty and the Beast. The wee
Mm.
teacup with a crack in it, and the maw, the one who's the
Yeah.
actual kettle. I'm like, oh, that's a wee nice Easter egg because it doesn't appear on screen long enough to warrant it has no actual meaning on the story, but I just
Aye.
Disney's full of these sort of Easter eggs. You've got a Stitch in the background of some movies, oh, it was an early 2000s movie. I can't mind what it's called, but you get a lot of background characters. You've got I think in the Cars, you've got Sully and was that Mike Wazowski from Monster Inc. as monster
Mm-hmm.
trucks and shit like that. There's Easter eggs cluttered about in Pixar and Disney. That's really nice. You've got the Pizza Planet
Mm.
truck, or is that a truck or is it just the Pizza Planet car that you see in all the Pixar films that originated in
Oh
Toy
yeah,
Story?
yeah.
So you see it in Bugs Life and all that sort of shit. And that's a good Easter egg. I think the tea set's just one I always
Yeah.
remember for me. The one that I remember most, I always watch Tarzan and go, that's from Sleeping Beauty, eh? Oh my.
Mm.
Aye, that's my first one.
Mm. My next one I'm going to mention is from Supernatural. Mentioned it already. But this is from season 12, episode 15. And it's actually Lucille's bat that appears. And oh my,
What?
this is a really nice bit. Uh, Essentially, in like season 1, right? We know the dad of both Sam and Dean.
Oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
It's John, isn't it? John's his name, man. Yeah, who's played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And I think that season 1 was like 2005 or something.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 2005. So he starred in Supernatural way back then, and roughly about this time, or maybe a year or so before season 12 of Supernatural, Jeffrey Dean Morgan got the part in The Walking Dead as our main man. And so because of that, in this episode, it's right at the start, it's just a small thing where they come back from like this, I think they were killing zombies or something like that, or vampires, or I can't even mind, something like that. But they come into like their main house, but I can't remember what it's called. Oh my god, the Men of Letters place. They arrive.
Base
They
of
come
operations.
in the base. Yeah, they come in, and Dean is holding the bat. They're all covered in blood, and that. And he's like, no wonder Dad loved this so much. And he throws the bat down onto the table, and it's literally Lucille, which is it's just a nice nod to the fact that he plays as Negan in the show.
Yeah.
It's been kind of teased before. I think there was an episode prior, like a wee while before, where he like holds a picture up of John, and he's like dressed in the baseball outfit, and he's holding a baseball bat, which is a slight nod. But this is like a full on, hey look, this is Lucille right here, which I always loved, just the connections.
Nice little tributes.
Yeah.
Well, my second one is well, it's very blatant Easter egg. It's one of those blatant Easter eggs, but you would need to know the context for it. So, like you watching Civil War. This is the example I'm using. Is Civil War, when Ant-Man is up on Hawkeye's arrow, like on the tip of the arrow, and he launches Ant-Man that way. And that's how Ant-Man gets into Iron Man or War Machine's armor. I think it's Iron Man's armor, isn't it? But either way, that whole premise of Ant-Man being on Hawkeye's arrow is from a comic issue. It's from like Avengers 66, I think. Issue 66 is on the cover of that, and it's a wee Easter egg, a wee tribute to that cover. I'm always like, oh, and it's like the exact same pose, the exact same fucking maneuver, the exact same like wee thing they do. That's I thought it was a really nice touch for a film that I'm not a big fan of. I like it, like I don't like it narratively. I like it visually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think that's a really nice Easter egg. I know Marvel's like clattered in them, especially Guardians of the Galaxy. But I think that's my favorite MCU Easter egg.
Well, my third one I have is quite a big one. I had to pick. I had to pick one from COD Zombies, because quite a few of them are really fun to do, but the story of them as well, I think, quite a few is really good. So I was thinking, which one should I include? Should I include like Mob of the Dead, because that's a really good one as well. or something else, because they've over the years they've like developed how much goes into them. I think one of the first there was like small ones in like dirty and whatnot. Ascension had one. I think the first like almost full Easter eggs that they added. But yeah, since then they've really gone into town with these Easter eggs and just made them huge, like storyline things. And I'm gonna mention. I think my favorite is probably Dreisendrach from Black Ops 3.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that's my favorite Easter egg to do, and just the narrative of it. And with this map, it's obviously this castle, right? That was owned. It was used as a base for Group 935. Was it?
Yeah.
Was it them that?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
lore. I
yeah,
don't
it
know
was
a
them.
lot of lore for Black
So
Ops
they
3.
owned this space, right? So they owned this, and essentially at the start of the game, when you load in with the crew, Dr. Groff is like on the moon base, which is it's literally the same place as the map, like that base. It's on the moon map. So Dr. Groff is there, and he's like, "Oh, Richtofen, you're there. Hello, blah blah blah." And he's talking to him, but he thinks that Richtofen is the bad one, but it's not, because that bad one got killed. That bad one got killed in the giant cutscene. And yeah, so the story of it essentially goes like, you build the bows, the ancient, what was it, Wrath of the Ancient. You build the bow, you upgrade step, like each staff has their own like little story involved. For example, like the wolf bow, the story of that is it's about like this king and his wolf, obviously. um, the king who actually owned this castle before, way back. So there's a bit of story in that, just as like a small bit. But you build these staffs, and then I think it gets where you use the bow to like light up part of the teleporter.
Mm-hmm.
You use it to activate that, and then like wisps start spawning around the map that you have to hit. And then once you hit all of them, you go to the teleporter, and it's like glowing purple. You use that. You go back in time to that room where Dr. Groff put stuff in like a safe, and then he puts in like this passcode that you have to remember, obviously, and put it into the computer once you come back. So the fact that it uses a bit of time travel, I think, is sick, absolutely sick. And you just go through this like all these steps, and there's quite a lot of steps that you have to do. It gets to the point where on that moon base, what's his name, Dempsey is like in a test tube fucking like container thing. They're doing tests on him at that point, but that gets shot down and lands on the map. It goes like through the clock tower and lands, which is, oh my god, what a step. And you go through more steps, blah blah blah, this and that. I think you go back in time again to do something, and then you send rockets out and you fucking blow up the moon. Which is
you do a reverse as like a nod to like moon, the map moon, where it stops in it. You blow up the Earth.
Yeah, you blow up the Earth in that one. So this is to completely stop that from happening. That you fucking blow up the moon. and yeah, just it's really good. It's really good because the keeper fight as well is class. Getting the slabs, doing the soul steps and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I feel like this is one of my favorites. So definitely a lot of good ones. The keeper fight is it's a pain in the arse, I will say.
Like, if anybody out there wants to like listen to like a video of like all the Easter egg information you would have to like do if you want to know, or if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to read on it, there's a good video out there where it just goes through it all. It like he like explains all the Easter egg information and story, as well as provide voice clips for what's happening. So like I think my favorite like radio interviews you get is Rick Tuffin's diaries, and he'll just open up being like, log 214, January 5th, 1935. Diary. I love Rick Toffin,
Oh
man.
Lord!
It's
But
just so nice. But
it's great.
it's great. Is that your one done?
Yeah, that's my enough on that point.
Well, my third one is a Portal Easter egg. Uh,
Oh,
no,
I
I
think I
think
know
it's
which
got
one.
different names, but I put it down as Ratman's Lair. So,
Mm-hmm.
premise of it is there's a lair you find in the first portal, which there's two. There's a Den 1 and Den 2, which you find at uh one of the rooms, like right at the start of one of the rooms, and you go for a ventilator, and then it'll be in the tiny Ratman den, and there's another one somewhere else for another ventilator. But essentially, it provides a little bit of like lore to what happens to some of the scientists, like one of the surviving scientists, this guy called Ratman, that's his surname, but he's known as like an actual rat. He's like ratting about, like he's in a facility. But basically, before GLaDOS just absolutely ruined the laboratory aperture, Ratman was one of the scientists there, and he eventually survived through all the processes that GLaDOS put through all the scientists and all the changes she'd made. And he's just been hiding out in these wee dens, writing on the walls, saying stuff like "Don't trust the cake is a lie," which is literal and not literal at
Yeah.
the same time. It's like it literally happens. The cake was a lie. You don't get a cake, but the whole point of him saying that on the wall was, "Do not trust her at all. She is a lie. She's lying to you." It's just his insane way of being like she's lying, but his brain just went, "The cake is a lie," sort of stuff. And I think there's a wee comic on him as well. And it's just really interesting and creepy. You just find this room that's just there's a wee cardboard bed that's been used in that, and you're like, whoa, who's been sleeping
Hmm.
here? Because back in like during the first portal, you're never told who this guy is. It's purely an Easter egg, and through small tidbits you learn who this guy is until he gets his comic. I just think it's a really good Easter egg.
Yeah. I think there's a few in Portal.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to do with the radio.
Hmm. Do you mind the Tarot Opera?
Oh my god.
You find like this secret room and they all start singing.
Oh no, that's the opera. Is that in Portal 2, isn't it?
Yes.
That just happens at the end of the game.
Is it? Is it?
You're thinking of when you find a wee small room, and it's just one turret that sings to you, and it's like.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Mixing.
But the one that ends is like you see the big fuck off turret, like the big one singing as well, and it's like got the voice.
Aye,
Not an Easter
there's
egg, but still
the big one.
majestic. Pearl's a great
Oh,
game series.
absolutely.
Aye, that's my
Peak.
third one. Yeah, my third one.
Yeah. Well, my last Easter egg I am mentioning is actually from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Mm.
I think quite a few people will know this. It's the ET race that
Oh,
appears.
aye.
Can't mind like what point in the film it happens, but they're like in
It's near the end, isn't it?
it might be. It might be.
Oh,
They're in like the big
it's when
place
Padme.
anyway.
It's when Padme is brought in, and we find out that Padme is not the real Padme, and it's the other bird that was talking to
That's
Anakin,
right. That's right.
and she's like
Um,
speaking for her planet.
mhm. So all these like pods essentially that are in this area are of like different places. They're coming in to like hear this speech essentially. And if you notice in like the background of it, one of the pods it has like 3 or 4 like ETs. You literally see them. I thought that was great. Um, is there not a Star Wars Easter egg in ET as well? I can't quite remember.
Would there be? Didn't ET come
I
out
can't
way
remember.
earlier? When did
I think
ET come out?
there's something.
1982. Yeah, it was after Star Wars. I don't know. I have not a
But
clue.
yeah, that's. I think that's just a really nice
Yeah,
nod, and it gets you thinking a bit, you know.
it gets you thinking that ET can heal and levitate things because he's using the Force.
Exactly.
Fuck's sake.
They should have just replaced Jar Jar Binks with ET.
Oh no.
Just had him in full.
This is like
Oh,
epilogue. This is B story. He
good
only appears
lord.
in the Phantom Menace. Uh, um, is there any more to speak on that? Is there any like other Star Wars Easter eggs?
Um, I think Star Wars is actually one that does have quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In some cases, it could literally just be uh, who the voice actor is.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of many like off the top of my head, but I do know that there's quite a lot in Star Wars.
I don't know if it's an Easter egg or whatever it's intended to be, but the guy at the start of Rise of the Skywalker, that's like the Millennium Falcon's like under this thing. That guy opens a hatch and he's like, "Oh, here's the information. There's a mole. There's a traitor." That's Mark Hamill's voice for
Yeah,
some reason. You're like,
it is.
why do you get Mark Hamill? I enjoy his voice, but why? I suppose I should mention my last one then,
Go on.
which is simply put, No Bones Joker from Arkham City, Batman Arkham City, the game. So a bit of context to it is throughout the game, Joker is ill as fuck. He is poisoned. He's diseased. He's going to die. He infects Batman as well, so he's infected as well. But throughout the game, there's certain points where you see the Joker is suddenly normal. Like the infected Joker has like this like sort of facial like blemishes. Like he's fucked. Like he got amongst his white face is like blood and shit, and he's like coughing, and you're like, oh, well, he's not well. Then there's other points in the game where he looks completely normal, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? But of course, the twist comes in near the end of the game. We find out it's Clayface, right? So
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, it makes sense. It makes sense why he looks normal. It was a dead giveaway if Batman's supposed to be, fucking the world's best detective. Obviously, you would have known, but it was supposed to be a twist. But the Easter egg I find here is they could have very well left in during the wee small boss fight we have with Clayface Joker when we don't know it's Clayface. So we fight Joker at one point. But if you go into your detective mode, which lets you see lets you see enemies are on the map through walls and stuff, plus you can see their bones. But for some reason, Joker in this fight did not have any bones. Much like how Clayface looked when you can use detective vision on him in Arkham
Hmm.
Asylum when he's in the cell. So that's
Right.
just a big dead giveaway, and I don't know if it's intended. Like, I think it's really sick. It's just like a nice wee nod, like we're not just gonna give him bones, so you don't know it's him. And most people probably wouldn't have realised that at the time. until obviously you found out, oh wait, that's Clayface. I just think it's a really nice input to the game. They could have
Nice.
easily not done that.
Yeah.
That wraps me up. That wraps us up on Best Series.
Yeah, and that wraps up the whole episode.
Yes. That's also a fairly long episode. But to be expected from, the bi-weekly change. Next episode most likely will be long as well, to be fair. It's the Halloween special. And that will be next week as well. And then
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it will be. And then we'll commence the bi-weekly schedule again. So all I can say is thank you for listening on whatever platform you're on, for
thank you very much.
Enduring our fucking nonsense. Come back and listen to us next time for episode 15, the Halloween special.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.